Okay, everybody, today I want to delve into Jay Leno's disastrous turn as a leading man film actor. But first, a lot of stand-up comics go on to successful film careers. Be it Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Rodney Dangerfield, Kevin Hart, Eddie Murphy. Others may have short but memorable moments in film, like Sam Kinnison's brief but iconic appearance in Back to School. Other comics have been less successful in films. For instance, before reinventing himself as a political pundit, Bill Maher went from the stand-up stage to bit parts, and then he had a star turn in the forgotten 1991 film Pizza Man. Andrew Dice Clay, who'd had some bit parts in television and film before he became the highest-grossing stand-up comic of all time, landed his first leading man role in 1990's The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Now, the film, which has since developed something of a cult following, was a critical and commercial failure. A victim, no doubt, of the backlash, which had already started against Dice, because his material was categorized as misogynistic and homophobic by a lot of people. And you might be familiar with Carrot Top's disastrous vehicle, Chairman of the Board.
I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D.
The 1998 box office bomb, which effectively started and ended Carrot Top's leading man film career. But the guy I want to focus on today is Jay Leno. Of course, Leno had that long and very successful run as the host of NBC's Tonight Show from 1992 until 2009. He got his start as a successful stand-up comedian who was highly respected amongst his peers, and he had some bit parts on television programs before making his first Tonight Show appearance in March of 1977. In 1986, he began filling in for host Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show when Carson took nights off, before he finally got the gig full-time when Carson retired in 1992. Now, Leno had a few bit parts in films in the 70s and 80s, but his lone turn as a leading man came in 1989 with the film Collision Course, in which he starred with Pat Morita of Happy Days and Karate Kid fame. Chris Sarandon and Ghostbuster and Michigander Ernie Hudson also starred in the movie. Now, in the film, Leno plays a Detroit police detective, Tony Costas. Pat Morita plays a Tokyo detective sent to the United States to investigate the theft of a revolutionary automobile engine design. And of course, the two connect, and all hilarity ensues. Now, the movie, which was filmed in 1989, apparently got a limited release in Germany, of all places. But it went unreleased in the US until it was released direct-to-home video in 1992. I imagine in an attempt to capitalize on the fact that Leno had just taken over the Tonight Show hosting job from Carson. It was later released on DVD by HBO Video in 2006. Now, when Morita appeared on The Tonight Show in 1989 with Leno as a guest host, they talked about the movie, which had a $13 million budget, and they talked about how it ran out of money with scenes still to be shot, and they had no budget left over for post-production. Now, as far as Collision Course goes, I've seen the movie, and it's a fun little film. Jay Leno's certainly no Al Pacino, and the movie's no Gone with the Wind, but I'd recommend it to fans of the two stars as a curio. I mean, I've certainly seen worse films that got theatrical release. Now, there are some politically incorrect things in the movie, some ethnic stereotypes and ethnic slurs. Definitely some stuff that is politically incorrect by today's standards, but that stuff was common of films of the period. And there is some cartoonish violence, but it's not a bad movie, all things considered. Also, the movie was filmed mostly in Detroit. So if you're a Detroiter and a Motown file like myself, there's a lot about Collision Course to love, including some great aerial shots of the city during the movie's opening credits. Detroiters are going to recognize many of the movie's locations, in fact. I would say of the movies filmed in Detroit that utilize the city as a filming location, like Beverly Hills Cop, Presumed Innocent, Hoffa, and True Romance, other movies that were filmed in Detroit around that same time, Collision Course is by far the one that utilizes the city of Detroit the most. It's a really good time capsule for what Detroit was like in the late 80s. But yeah, Detroiters are definitely going to recognize things like Eastern Market, Old Trapper's Alley. There's even an auto show scene filmed inside the old State Fair Coliseum. Now, Detroiters know Cobo Hall, now known as Huntington Place, is where the actual Detroit auto show took place since 1965. But it's pretty cool because the State Fair Coliseum was just recently demolished to make room for an Amazon fulfillment center. Interestingly enough, the same fate that befell the old Pontiac Silverdome. There's a scene inside the Garden Bowl at the Majestic Theater, still there on Woodward Avenue. They utilized footage of the Detroit Grand Prix, which ran downtown at the time. They even filmed a scene in front of Old Tiger Stadium at the intersection of Michigan and Trumbull. Too cool. But Jay Leno would not appear as a leading film actor ever again after this movie. He was one and done. Now, he's made numerous appearances in movies and television in ensuing years outside of his role as the host of The Tonight Show. He usually plays himself or very small cameo roles. He's also done voice work in some animated films like Ice Age and a Scooby-Doo movie. But that career as an action hero never panned out. But that's the story of Jay Leno's short-lived film career and the movie Collision Course, filmed in the city of Detroit, Rock City. I hope you dug the video. We'll see you next time. Who's here?